Thousands of Rohingya refugees are struggling to cope without shelter after a fire destroyed their camp in southern Bangladesh. Hundreds of makeshift buildings were destroyed in Cox's Bazar on Friday. Bangladesh is home to around 1 million Rohingya, many of whom fled a 2017 military crackdown on the Muslim minority in Myanmar. Well, the Rohingya people in Myanmar are facing another threat, which is a conflict between the Junta and a rebel group called the Arakan army. Formed in 2009, the group is based in Rakhine state and is believed to have between 15,000 and 30,000 fighters. It wants autonomy for Buddhist Arakans in Rakhine, which is also home to tens of thousands of predominantly Muslim Rohingya. The United Nations says about 45,000 Rohingya have been forced from their homes since fighting between the military and the rebel group started in November. Tanvir Chowdhury joins us now on the banks of the Naf River at the Bangladesh-Myanmar border. So Tanvir, just describe the situation on the border right now.
Well, you can see right behind me is the Naf River, and the other side is Myanmar with the hills and the greeneries. Well, today Bangladesh has a storm warning, rather a cyclone storm warning with danger signal number 9, which is quite severe. So there's no boats or fishing boats you can see. In a typical day like this, no refugees, Rohingya rather, from the other side will make any attempt to cross through the river. Normally, this is one way. They take a fishing boat or dinghies and cross on this side of the border. If they're caught, though, they're prevented from coming or landing in Bangladesh, because Bangladesh will not allow any Rohingyas to enter Bangladesh right now under the current circumstance. Both Bangladesh and Myanmar share about 278 kilometers of border. Most of it is land, and 67 kilometers is this river. Now, what we know from our sources in the camp and on the other side of the border, there's like thousands of people are taking shelter in the forest area, in the mountains and the hills, wanting to move into Bangladesh because they don't want to go back to northern Rakhine, where they said they're under attack by both the Buddhist Arakan rebel army and the Myanmar military. Houses have been burned. Many people have been killed. We actually met a family member whose brother and uncle was killed just about 30 days ago. So situation is quite dire. The UN and the US both raised concern on Thursday that the situation in northern Raya could be possibly a potential for another bloodbath, and unless the international community act on it quickly. These people living on the other side of the border do not have food. They don't have access to any kind of aid agencies providing them food. They have to rely basically on the land, whatever they can get, which happened in 2017 also. So a lot of these people potentially could face starvation unless something is taken care of by the international community.
And Tanvir, what's been the official response from both governments?
Nick? Well, the Bangladesh government has been consistently saying that repatriation process should start immediately. Last week, basically, the foreign minister said that the conflict in Myanmar cannot be an excuse to stall the repatriation process, and there should be a collective effort made by the Myanmar to start the repatriation process. Just today, the principal secretary to the prime minister said if the repatriation doesn't starts immediately, there could be a regional threat because of the conflict going on between both sides of the border. Where I'm staying, you could hear artillery, machine gun, even mortar shell, even 2 weeks ago, because there's a heavy conflict going on the other side of the border. The Arakan rebel army is dominating the situation there, basically. More than 500 military officers, border guard officers, and soldiers actually took shelter in Bangladesh. They were eventually returned. On the Myanmar parts, it does keep sending delegation to Bangladesh, and they want the vetting process, and they said we'll take by piecemeal, and that they're willing to allow volunteers, even UN and members for the UN ASEAN, to be present during the repatriation process. But nothing concrete really initiated, plus most of the Rohingyas don't want to leave without proper security by the UN or other international forum.
All right, Tanvir, thanks for that. Tanvir Chowdhury reporting there. Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.